Privilege of the floor, number one.
So could I just introduce
Yes.
Paul Mercier, our town auditor?
Is he here?
He is here. This is Paul.
Hi,
Hey,
Paul.
Brett.
Hi, Paul.
So
Alright.
Paul
All
is.
these years I've seen your
Good.
your signature and I've never met you.
So
Yeah, well, it's good.
Well, do we want to take care of the business?
yeah,
with Paul
so
first?
so there are two things. First of all, Paul is
Paul, why don't you
finishing.
come up and join us? Sure.
Paul is finishing the field work for our 2017 audit. So I don't know if you want to just let them know how that went and.
Things look pretty good. The books are in good shape. You know, what I'll do is I'll take all this back to the office at this point, digest it and draft the financial statement, the regular GAAP financial statements. And so that, things are coming along and
Right.
Julie's doing a great job and Mark's always on the ball, it seems, most of the time when he's in the office.
Most of the time, when I'm not out skiing or
What is-
doing some other things.
All right.
So otherwise,
And then the other issue
Is the
is
$65,000.
we have a
issue.
situation with the school department here.
yeah, the circumstance with the school goes back to
14.
2014, yeah. What happened was the school voted a deficit appropriation, but that $65,000 figure actually got
Can
on
I ask you a
the,
quick question
Sure.
procedurally on that, Paul? Was that voted at school, after the school budget hearing? Was that from a supplemental vote, or was that a public vote, or was that just the
must have been
school?
part of the, I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
it must have been an article, it must have been part of the school district meeting.
Okay, and by defining the school district,
Yeah.
Waterville School is the only school in the school district that we're talking
It's
about?
a one
Yeah.
town.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause I had to have this explained to me.
So when you say they voted a deficit budget, in other words, the budget they adopted,
Well, what happened was they would have had a 13, 14 budget, okay, because they're on a fiscal year. And then they came in March of 2014, saying that, geez, we're gonna overrun our budget.
gonna overrun the
And we
budget.
need authority to do that.
Right.
And we need to raise additional money to do that.
Right,
And what happens is of course, because of the tax process, that would have gone into the tax rate in the fall of 2014.
right.
And then and what happened was on the DRA forms, it got included as a supplemental appropriation, which means they were asking for authority to spend money they had, essentially from excess revenues or other, you know, unspent appropriations or whatever. But they would have gone over, it would have been in violation of the municipal budget law, they would have gone over that bottom line. So a supplemental doesn't raise taxes, whereas a deficit appropriation does raise additional money. And who knows where the mistake got made, whether it was DRA in setting the tax rate, got it on the wrong line, or in any event, we didn't see it from this end because we're only looking at the town is only looking
portion of
at
the rate.
the tax rate, saying, okay, here's the rate that was set by DRA, we paid
Right.
everything that we were supposed to pay, but we've been, you know, the 65,000 has been going since 20.
It's been
14.
carrying forward every year, so when he reconciles the
Finally, we-
15 budget, the 16 budget, and now the 17 budget,
Right.
they give us what we owe them for the next 6 months, right? Because we've closed our books, but we still owe them
And if you,
6 months of payments.
Yeah.
So every year, Paul, when he reconciles that, is seeing that we are paying them, in essence, $65,000 more each year,
yeah,
right?
you pay according to their
Pay
schedule.
according to their schedule.
Yeah, so come June last year, okay, you should be at zero because, you know, it's the second half of their year. So from December, you've got this big liability on your books because it represents the payments you'll be making to them through the end of June. And by following that schedule, their request, you essentially overpay them ever since, so it got overpaid back in 2014,
14.
and it's carried forward ever since.
But wouldn't that show up as a deficit to our fund balance?
Well, no, he's carrying it.
No, we carry it as a
We've been carrying it as a liability. So,
but we carry an amount, we've been carrying an amount that doesn't
the school
include the
has a-
65,000.
So if I'm correct in this, the school is always being carried as a liability to the town because we owe them money?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
At December 31st, because they're on a fiscal year.
So because of that, it overlaps and there's no real time for a line-by-line reconciliation? Because I'm just wondering why this didn't come up.
No, it has come
But-
up.
Yeah, but it was 14 and we're hearing about it in 18.
because we've been trying to work with the school department, with the business office, the SAU office, and
Yeah.
their auditors, trying to get them to understand what we've been saying for, this is the third
So
year
last,
now.
yeah, so last year when I was here in February, whatever, or January, I guess, we researched this whole thing and went back to them. We got reports from the school. We can see the school revenues agree with the tax rates and all of that. And we went back to them and said, you know, here's the deal. They came back to us and said, well, and we see, you know, this is the first time we've had collaboration, I guess, that they came back and said, oh, well, that should have been reported as a deficit appropriation, not a supplemental appropriation. So it's an error in their tax forms that didn't get, that nobody over there actually.
In the first couple
Caught
of
it.
years, they didn't agree with us, and
And
we
all
went
of
back and
this
forth.
means what?
Well, in the grand scheme of things,
Sounds
it's
like
the
paper.
same, that's right, it's the same taxpayers regardless.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, if the school district wanted to correct this at this point in the paper flow, they would have to go to March meeting, they would have to vote a deficit appropriation, so it could be raised in the fall of 2018, only to give it back. So like last June, they gave back their surplus to the tax rate, $39,000. They could have carried that as deferred revenue to say that we collected 2017, 18 revenue in advance, but they didn't do that. So what I would suggest is just, I mean, you've got you're looking at $1 million in your bottom line on a signed fund balance. I would just absorb it and move
Yeah.
on.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
That's
Except,
Yeah.
we're not getting an accurate picture of what it cost to run the school.
well, yeah, you are. It's just that what you don't have an accurate picture of is in that year 2014.
Right.
They
overspend
intended
their
to
budget.
raise some additional money and it didn't happen. And so they counted the revenue, gave it back. If there was anything in their bottom line, it came back because the school always ends with a zero balance.
Okay.
So,
All right,
I'd forget about it.
okay. Fine.
But-
Yeah, I
And
would
I'm
too.
fine, but I
mean,
can't
it
write
was-
write that off personally, but if you're okay with it, he'll make the adjustment, and
Right.
we'll
All right.
clear that.
yeah, and then,
But
Yeah,
I
it
just
was-
wanted you to
It was
make
probably
that
one of those
decision.
deals where a couple of kids snuck
But-
into the high
yeah.
school and they didn't know they were gonna be going there
well,
or
or
something
it
like
could have
that.
been, yeah, it could have been a handicap,
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
district placements.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
you
I
know,
mean, but the law,
could've
the
been.
way the law is written is, of my understanding, is they have every right in the world to overspend the budget.
Yeah.
And
do
it's
this
automatic
deficit.
that they collect it in the next tax cycle.
I think it's
So
just,
if they
it got
filled out the wrong
overlooked.
paper, they filled out the wrong paper.
All right.
It
You know,
got
then-
overlooked in that rate
Yeah.
setting process, and it was a mistake, and to go back to 2014 now and try to,
They didn't have a
Yeah.
big party or anything.
No,
no, I would say not. Their financial statements have been
It
audited
was-
right along, and
it-
so.
it was probably an IED or
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
IP.
All right, so
So,
what do we have to
But
make a
I
motion
would,
for
I
this?
would like a motion, just so you're on the record, so he can make the adjustment.
All right, so does someone understand how to make the motion to this?
Yeah, what's,
So they
what
can
a
make the
motion, how about you make the motion? A motion to make an adjustment of $55,000? $65,000 to what?
it would be, it would go against your property taxes in the current year.
We'll make an adjustment of $65,000 against property taxes in the current year as an accounting entry.
There you go.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
All right, I'll get
Very
out of
good.
here.
Well, other than that, we're good though, right?
Yes,
All right.
yep,
Yeah.
things look great.
No evidence of anybody stealing anything or,
No,
good.
you know,
That's all I ever worried. Well, no, I've
No,
gone through these
I
before and
understand.
people steal stuff.
I've been drinking,
know,
I've been
and-
drinking the water and then I read in the minutes that the wells are going bad.
No. There's nothing wrong with the water.
No, I'm just kidding. But,
All right, well, thank you,
Yeah.
Paul, nice to meet you.
Well, you too.
Reggie, got anything for, okay.
Thanks.
Then we'll move along to approving the minutes of January 10th meeting.
Yeah,
Now, I had something.
I had a
I
couple of
had
things too.
something too.
Well-
Well, let's see, you go first.
Well-
You were first.
According to the minutes, I wasn't here.
Oh,
That's a big deal.
You were there. So much for.
So that was my big one.
all right.
And then I had, on line 73, it should be River Road. On line 90, bill should be capitalized.
Right.
And on the Corcoran's Pond Dam update, we should reference that Bill volunteered to write an article for the Wigwag.
Right.
Back in, line 62, I thought we could make that a little clearer.
Yeah, I
that
had the
it's-
same pickup.
Yeah, I was-
That my line 62 made no sense.
Well,
Yeah.
63 made less, but if you read it slowly a
Well,
few times, it all worked.
Go ahead. So
Oh.
I had a suggestion that what we add in there is that Mike asked why the travel conditions on town roads after the I road intersection were so poor during the last storm. That's what precipitated that response. And if we put that in, then you can kind of
Yeah.
vaguely understand the response. I also made a note that line 241, I don't remember line 241 happening. And what the hell does it mean?
That's just
It's required
More
by
procedural. and
Yeah.
procedural.
required
She
for-
puts it in, I think, every time.
If you have a non-public session.
Unless you specifically tell us that you don't want us
Oh.
to seal the minutes, then,
Oh, okay.
Because they're
it was-
public if
it's-
you
It's
don't
to seal the
vote.
minutes from the
from the
non-public session.
non-public, yes.
Okay, I'm all right with that. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, Margaret, you got anything else?
Yeah, aside from Bill's correction back there, I think, on line 62, if you keep changes, it would be the changes were explained, not was explained, or the change was explained. It's just a grammatical
Yeah, I
thing.
had that too, but. All right. All right, can I have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move ahead to recreation.
Don't have a whole lot to report. We are having some evening programs on the weekends. Things are going smoothly. We're on track with our revenue. Things are going well.
What is this? Marshmallow crossbowing each other?
Oh, archery tag? Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
It's just a new indoor sort of game that you can play in the gym with these bows and these giant, sort of foam, and
Oh.
it's supposed to be all the new rage.
They practice
So we're gonna
shooting
give
at
it
each
a go.
other, that's,
it'll poke your eye
Yep.
out.
And so we're planning all these things for the February vacation weeks, of course.
And how are the relationships these days with the school going?
Very
Over
good,
use of the facilities?
very good. We actually have 3 staff now in common, so there's a lot of
So things are working
communication.
out, nobody's complained to
No,
me,
the principal
so
is
I'm
doing an
assuming
outstanding
it's working
job
out.
and has really helped facilitate the communications, so it's been great.
So what do you mean staff in common?
Well, Nelson has a second job as their PE teacher.
Okay.
EJ, one of my camp counselors and also part-timers throughout the year, is an aide there. And then Laurel is the
Oh,
music
great.
teacher there and works for us in the summer, so.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a lot of crossover, which is good for the kids, I think.
Yep. Continuity and
Yeah.
synchronicity. Wonderful. And Christmas, reconcile it, you made money?
Yep, we
The
did,
weather
we
must
had
have
a
been great
really
for you.
great, Christmas week, mostly due to the cold, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
A lot of really,
You just couldn't go outside.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
if
people,
we were-
they would call and they'd say, what do you have going on? They were planning their whole day because they had enough cold days, they couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I heard the mountain did okay regardless of the cold.
Have you heard that? I hadn't heard that, but,
No?
Yeah.
Oh, people came in and said, oh, there's tons of people up there.
well, there weren't as many paying people as compared to
Oh.
previous years,
Oh.
apparently.
Yeah, can't catch a
So,
break.
but I don't know. I
Yeah.
hope they made up oodles of money.
I'm sure there were people that prepaid their tickets,
Right,
that ski
Yeah.
once a year, that are getting out there no matter what.
yeah.
No, seriously, that's how a lot of our weekend skiers are. They're gonna go, we've paid for this, we're gonna go do it.
And looking ahead for us, we're almost fully staffed for the summer, so things
Wow.
are happening early this year.
And is that
Good.
repeat?
A lot of people returning, and I have one interview set up for a couple weeks from now, and yeah, it's looking really good.
Great.
And
All right.
I think I've talked to you a little bit about this, but we're adding another camp group, and so we're also, that includes the staffing of that new camp group. So, things are looking good.
These are for younger kids, older kids?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to break up the age groups into 2 years each
Okay.
instead of summer 3.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's mostly to address the younger kids that we have been having to turn away because there's such high numbers in those younger
Right.
kids.
Okay.
Are there any state mandates for younger kids needing more supervision by numbers?
No, we're not a state certified
Yeah.
program, so no, but we do keep our numbers lower. Like, for example, for that younger group, 4 to 5 year olds, we're gonna be doing 1 to 6 ratio, which we usually do a little bit like 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 even. So it'll be you have to with those younger kids because they just demand more.
Yeah. Great, good job. All right. Any messages from either public safety or public works for us?
No, I'm surprised, Chris must have just gotten toned out because he was
Okay.
upstairs, but
All right.
nothing.
We can we'll
Guys were, Jim is not here because they were here basically all
Yeah.
night last night.
It was bad last night
Yeah,
on
it
the
was,
roads.
yeah.
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 Yeah, it's funny, I drove back from Plymouth around
Yeah, the
5:30,
driving
it
in
wasn't
town
bad.
here wasn't too bad,
Yeah.
but I understand the roads.
93
The ramps.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Ramps
ramps.
were
Was
bad.
that later? than I-
Yeah,
Yeah,
9
we
o'clock.
got home, we were coming home between 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was slippy, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, we'll look at budget and bond public hearing for February 7th. That's for our calendar review. Does anyone have an issue with being there?
No.
All right, and the school is the 2 nights before, that's Monday?
Yep,
I had that as 7, is that right?
what, for the,
7 p.m.?
Budget
School,
hearing, and
budget
when
hearing?
is the school
the
budget
school
hearing?
is at 6:15.
It is?
6:15?
And what time is ours? 6?
6.
Yeah. And the planning board is the 8th?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so if no one has a problem or any concerns or questions about that, we'll move on to new business.
Mhm.
And we can talk about reviewing and approving budget information.
Yep.
Did everyone have a chance to review the proposed budget and the changes Mark had sent along?
Yes.
Anyone have any comments?
Well, at some point, I don't know whether you want to do it now, I do have, I'd like to talk about the new estimate on the Corcoran's Pond Dam.
Let's
Yes.
talk about it.
Because I got
Yeah,
some questions
let's-
about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, it's the age-old frustration of, that every time we look at this, the numbers seem to change. But when I looked at the estimate, it seems almost all the increases are coming in engineering fees
Mhm.
and contingency. So what's up with the engineering fees? I mean, we're spending as much darn near as on engineering
Engineering as
fees
this
as to build the
project.
dam.
Yep, we,
We had to go out and get that third firm because our firm wouldn't.
that's right.
Allow-
That's,
They wouldn't
So
have-
how many engineering firms?
Two.
we have 2 engineering
two
firms
engineering
working on
firms
this
working
now.
on it.
Remember
And
they
that
wou-
was required by the state.
They
We
wouldn't let us
were-
use
Well,
ours.
They
I
wouldn't let us
understand
use
that,
ours.
but why don't we, if these are the experts, why are we holding on to the other ones that aren't certified?
Because the experts are experts in the articulated concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And they're doing just the design work attributed to the concrete blocks. All of the groundwork and all of the general construction engineering is being done by our engineers. So our engineers have done all of the calculations of the flows and that sort of thing. They're not, the only thing they're not doing is
Is the design.
specifically the design of the block
All right.
and how it interfaces
And I think
with.
that was specifically
building
where
and
the state said, our guys
So
couldn't
are
do it.
That's right.
those estimates firm?
They are. They
All
are.
right, they're not gonna increase.
No,
Right?
no.
The other problem I'm having is the contingency went from 15% to
Yeah.
20.
And
And it's, first of all, my reaction is 20% contingency is a lot.
it is a lot.
Why do they need so much contingency? I'm
Um,
afraid it's gonna get spent.
well, I disagree. I would like it to be 15% also.
Right.
That really
Can you
doesn't
tell us
change
why we
us.
went it to 20%?
Because both of the engineering firms, in talking to the state, when we get into digging the ground, we do not have extremely good records of what is under the surface of the dam. So we don't have, as an example, as-built plans. We have the plans that were approved before they started construction, but we don't know exactly what was built. So when,
Do we know, when they built the original dam, did it turn out to be far more difficult than they originally thought, or
no one knows.
no one
That,
no one
that's the
remembers?
problem, no one remembers. And so, we don't know if there were modifications made at the time that they actually constructed the dam. I mean, it's working, it's not like there's some fatal flaw or anything that we're expecting, but they don't know when they get into it whether they're gonna have to replace material or what they're gonna find when they start digging and preparing for the concrete block. So they just said, we would recommend that you increase the contingency to 20%. That, it's because of the unknowns.
Yeah, I'm a little leery on on having them know that number. I would prefer to cut it to 15, and if you feel strongly that that we potentially may need that extra money, just put it in a regular budget.
Okay,
Increase the budget,
okay,
but I wouldn't let the engineers know about it. I tell them, look, no, it's 15%, we figure out a way to live to that number, because I don't like spending contingency, period. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they ought to be able to deliver it to the original estimate.
okay.
And I'm just struggling with that. It seems like a lot of money, and it seems to me like they'll come in and say, "Oh, our
Yeah.
engineering fees are higher than we thought. You owe us more money."
So what I could do is take out the use of fund balance in there, which would give us a total project cost
Okay.
of 630 instead of 650.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then we could potentially,
And then if we need to,
Have-
we'll use fund balance in the next adjustment in June or July to cover any other shortfall that may potentially come up. I understand that, they're liable to dig around, they could find Jimmy Hoffa down there. For all
they
we know.
could. They
You know?
could. I hope they don't, but they could.
Well, it'd be some notoriety.
Yeah.
It would. It
On the
put
other
us on
side,
the
they could-
map.
It could be positive.
They could find the Brinks money, which they haven't been found either.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can do that.
Does
All
that,
right.
does that
All right.
work though, taking the 20 out and then?
20 brings us to a contingency of about 16%.
It takes us, yeah,
instead of
Okay,
15.
so, and what happens then if we have to?
if it actually costs
Yeah.
650,
Yeah,
We take it
a
out of
little
fund
bit, Mark gets creative.
Yeah, we have to find the money somewhere in the regular
in
operating
the
budget.
regular operating budget,
Yeah.
right?
Sell
Yeah.
a canoe or two.
Or, if worse comes to worse,
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose to take it out, well, no, you'd have to find it
You'd
in the
have
regular
to.
operating budget.
You'd have to have a vote if it came back out of, fund balance, you'd
If,
have to have a.
well,
That's right.
you'd have,
Well,
if you
I gotta
wanted to
wait. I
increase
gotta
your
wait.
level of spending
Yeah.
authority, you'd have to
Right.
go to the state, right?
Yes,
Right, and they probably would, for something like that, would grant it.
yes. They
But I
probably-
wouldn't recommend that you would go that route.
So,
Okay.
so we're gonna take this,
The 20,
difference and we're gonna lower it from 28,825 down to 8,825, $8,825.
Right.
And that,
And
like Mike
you
says,
think
that's about 16%.
These aren't gonna keep going up.
No, this is what they have,
Why?
well, no, what I told them was, we are not going back to town meeting again
Right.
in 19 to change these numbers. We're not.
Right.
This is what we're gonna build this for.
Right,
We got one shot at this.
right.
And so I think that they have been ultra conservative. I really believe that the 405,000 for construction costs are New Jersey construction costs, and I don't think that it's gonna cost Jimmy Hoffa. I don't think it's gonna cost the $400,000 to
Yeah.
actually build it. But
Well, we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
That's the estimate.
All right.
I'm gonna really push them to use local contractors.
Yeah.
Right,
Because this
If we can
is,
get local contractors in, we've had that problem with
That's
local
true,
contractors
but
bidding stuff.
I've already had a couple of guys say they wanna bid on this.
Okay, good. All
So I
right, well,
think we'll get a good,
so let's move on to the next part of it, the draft warrant wording.
okay, so do you have any other issues with the actual proposed budget summary? Well, I guess it ties into the wording of the warrant, so let's go through that.
you wanna go, yeah, I do have some problems with the warrant as
Okay.
written.
All right.
Hold on. Let me just get my
Um,
copy here.
We're back, let's start with number 4.
Okay,
Can we just, on number 3, shouldn't it say Corcoran Pond Dam as opposed to just
Oh.
Corcoran Pond?
yes, thank you, Margaret. And this goes to 630.
All right.
Here's the thing, I don't have necessarily a problem with the way the warrant is worded.
Okay,
Except that basically, there's nothing in the wording that would prevent you from spending the $250,000 on any improvement that the Board of Selectmen decided in town. So I'd like to put a note, I would put a note at least under this and say, the intent of this is to build the gateway and the signs.
well, no, we can,
And if for
you're
some
okay-
reason that doesn't happen, we're not,
We're not
that's
gonna do
it.
it.
Nothing,
Okay.
no money's gonna
So-
get spent.
We'll just put it for $250,000 for the construction, for the design and construction of a new town entrance
Right,
and
Yeah.
related,
I would,
Yeah,
related
okay.
road improvements,
Yeah.
right.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
to be fair to
Yeah.
Mark, we've
Yeah.
gone back and forth
Yeah.
on this, cause we've talked about.
Oh, yeah,
doing it.
I'm just
But then
saying
we
it
found
as I
out what
read it
involved
now.
with the enterprise zone.
The
Right,
design and construction of a new town entrance and related road improvements, okay?
Now, I have the same kind of concern with Article 11.
Okay, was there anything on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10?
I didn't have anything.
Okay, no, just wanna make sure
Yeah,
before we
no.
got to 11.
Right.
I wanna see if Margaret had anything.
On Article 11, this, as you read it, it gives the impression
Yes,
that
we
we're just
talked about
giving
this.
10 grand to the
Yeah.
music festival.
We
We
discussed
are
this.
not.
We
And,
discussed this afternoon.
somehow we need to make it clear that if the event doesn't come here in 2019,
See,
we're not spending a dime.
here's the problem that Mark told
We're
me
not
he
making
had
a
he had with
donation.
us, is I said the same thing.
He said the same thing.
What Mark has said about this, and I think we should have some kind of,
Just put a note in.
but the concern is, if we put a note, this is according to Mark and according to the
Right.
RSAs and all that. If we put a note in that, we have to be the one responsible for collecting all the money for the program, for
So,
the thing.
so there,
Huh?
yes, so like I can't think of offhand any other time we've done this, but if we put something in here that this is related to the raising of private funds
Yeah.
or anything
Yeah.
like that,
We would have to be the
then,
custodian of
then-
the funds.
that's right. We are responsible then for collecting those. You gotta put a total project cost in there. So if they said that they were gonna spend $60,000 on this event, and they
Alright.
wanted us to supply 10 of it,
Alright.
then,
Could we
I-
say
I-
that this is contingent
I
on
just
them providing a Fourth of July
Well,
concert in town?
I just figured it out, that's what we do, we add here, we get rid of this, for the support of the 2000 New Hampshire Musical Festival
Independence.
event, July 4th in
Or-
Waterville Valley.
Or say
Right.
Independence Day celebration, just in
In
case for
Waterville-
some reason it doesn't
in
happen.
Waterville Valley.
I wouldn't think they would do it, but I wouldn't want them
Yeah.
coming back and saying, where's my 10 grand?
Yeah, I,
So-
Even though the thing tanked.
Okay.
Mike, let's
so-
add that.
so we're gonna say, for the support of
The
2019 New Hampshire
Music
Festival
Festival, Independence Day celebration to
celebration.
be held in Waterville Valley.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's a good way to do it.
Good way to go around it and get it.
No, it
Yeah.
makes it clear.
Yeah.
To be held in Waterville Valley. All right,
Okay.
It, likewise on 14.
Yeah.
I think you're going to need some more of an explanation, or we're not gonna get the, we're gonna get this voted down.
sure.
Because as I read it, I don't know what it is. Now I realize that it's all tied to the provisions of RSA 7281, and we don't spell all of those provisions out, which actually governs,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I
Yeah,
think we'd have a
and
presentation on
I
it.
think we do a presentation
Yeah.
on it and explain what 7281 is,
All right,
and then
no,
I'll,
that'll work for me, if
Okay.
you feel you could do it that way.
Yep, yep.
And so it's new construction,
new
you
construction.
get an exemption for 10 years, that 50%, or
Of-
it's graduated
It's 10 years at 50%
Of the improvement.
of the improvement.
of the value of the improvement for only the town and school portion.
Local
Right.
school and
Right.
the town. And we can explain that to everybody, and I can do an example. But this is only if it's above a $50,000
Right.
improvement.
So the other question I had raised is the definition of new here would be, it would have to be new construction
Like an annex.
came after the day of town meeting.
That's correct.
So the sports center couldn't go back and claim their new pool qualifies.
That's
Correct.
correct. It's not retroactive.
It's not retroactive,
Correct.
okay, and we don't need to say that, right? Okay, good, all right.
All right.
Those
Mark?
are the questions I had.
Margaret, anything?
No, I'm good on that.
Okay, great.
Yep.
We'll move on to the always popular draft presentation slides.
Okay, well, yeah, I just have I
What?
have one thing, well, go ahead. Let's
No,
talk
no, if you had
about.
one thing that involves the warrants, let's get that out
Yeah,
of the way.
so on the police cruiser, if we wait until town meeting, the day
Yeah.
after town meeting, to order the police cruiser,
We're not gonna get it till August.
we're not gonna get it till August. We are down a cruiser.
Right.
And, we need to order that now. I did confirm with DRA that we can do that with an escape clause
Right.
and not take
A
delivery. Are
non-appropriation.
you okay?
I thought we
Yes.
agreed on that
Fine with
last,
Yeah.
Okay,
How many cruisers do we have?
we only have one right now.
well, do we
The
have a
new
car?
one, the new one,
We have the new one.
Do
right.
we have
That's
a,
all we have.
we don't
That's
have a
all we
police,
have.
we don't have a police car too?
Right,
We have, we have
that's
the
correct. We do
Explorer.
not,
Oh.
we have, right. That is not it's not an SUV actually. It's a different body style.
It looks like an
So
SUV to me.
it looks
It
like an
looks like an
SUV.
SUV.
Alright.
That's all we have right now.
We don't have a police
Is-
car?
We do
No.
not. It
I
burned
always
out.
thought we had
I
two.
thought, I thought we always, I thought we had two.
How
We
did
did
the,
have
how
two.
did the seat cords catch on fire?
The seat,
It shorted out, something in the electrical system shorted out, but it just caught fire and
Caught fire.
burned
Okay.
up. And they totaled the car, so we can't use that vehicle.
that's their story and they're sticking
Was
to
it,
it.
Well,
was it parked somewhere when that happened?
Yeah,
fortunately, outside of the building,
See, I'm
He-
reading
no,
this article
somebody-
yesterday. Did you
one of our-
realize this was the 50th anniversary of when the United States dropped nuclear bombs on Greenland? You don't remember that story?
No, I don't.
Because the story there was that it was so cold flying over
Yes.
Greenland that they stuffed cushions in the heating ducts, and the cushion caught on fire, and they all had to bail out because the smoke got so bad, and it went down with 4 nuclear weapons, right? Of which
That's right.
they still haven't found part of one of them.
That's right.
All right.
It wasn't
So-
made a big deal
But
of.
that's our story. We're sticking
They're
to it.
sticking to
Okay.
it.
So, we need to order that because we only have one vehicle right
Yeah,
now.
sure.
We need
Yes.
two.
Yeah.
So, now, similarly to that is the plow truck. We have the same issue that if we wait until town meeting, time, we're going to increase the cost of the truck.
By how much?
Because it's about a $4,000 increase.
Then
because
do a
it's a new-
non-appropriation clause on
Yeah.
that too. Is that all right with
Okay.
you guys?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it saves
right.
us
Yeah.
money if that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I will order
Is,
both.
is the new police cruiser going to be like,
It,
the
it will
other one?
be, it will be the same body style, so
Okay.
we'll have 2 of those, 2 SUVs.
I
shaped
know,
vehicles.
Chris owes us an explanation of why it's not practical to use fuel-efficient vehicles here in this town. But-
Okay, do you want him to do that at the next meeting? We'll put it on the
Yeah.
agenda. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. He actually has that information, Bill. We've talked about it.
All right.
Okay, so, sorry, now we can go on to the
Slides.
slides. All right, so these are the first one is the budget overview.
Right.
So these are the same numbers as you have on your summary sheet. And just shows the layout for the estimated increase in taxes, all right? The
Yep.
second slide,
and
The
that's gonna
impact of
change
that.
now with just that little change we made, right?
A little bit, yeah.
little
A little bit.
but,
Yeah.
20
Yeah,
grand
the
or something.
20,000,
Yeah.
yeah.
no, the 17,000 will not change because
That
it's
20
gonna come off of expenses and it's gonna come off the revenue. So the bottom line will stay the same.
Okay.
So the impact is $13 per $250,000 in property value.
Okay,
The major impacts are the capital improvements program, significant increase this year in expenditures. And it's still primarily water and sewer departments and replacement of vehicles. And then we have the town operating budget is actually decreasing by 2.5%.
All right, can I ask a question here for town meeting?
Yes.
Is someone going to make a presentation on the level funding of the CIP to explain to the community what we've done by doing that?
Do you wanna do it? I'll
Yeah.
do it. I don't.
I
I-
think it's,
I mean, it's a
think
goal,
presentation
it's a
of-
goal is to try to, you know, to keep that portion of the budget from jerking up and down.
right, and
Yeah.
I think it's
You know.
important that people know this is one of our
Right.
goals and what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Well, Mark, for the sake of continuity, I'd have you talk about it,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, I don't
I mean, we
think there's any
can,
value
we've
in
never
somebody
really,
else jumping up.
Yep.
we've never really, shown them the CIP in total.
No,
And I think it
right.
might be a good idea to hand that out
Yeah.
and
Well,
and
or
actually
just to
show it.
explain the process, and one of the things we're attempting to do is level the capital
The-
expenditures in the
Right.
town, so we don't go up and down
Right.
one year, you know.
Right.
And I think it's
You know,
important that we.
we just try
Okay.
to manage that too.
Okay, we'll figure out how to get that
All right.
info across. Then the use of fund balance. We're actually, I gave you the updated sheet on the fund balance levels.
Right.
With Paul's work, we actually are returning more than that by a significant amount, by about $50,000.
And where was that
More.
found?
It was the $120,000 Our Town grant article I was miscounting the revenue side of that, so we ended up with more revenue than I anticipated, and actually less expenses too. So with this $65,000 change, it's gonna be another 50,000. So we can save that for tax rate setting time, and at least, you know, flatten the tax rate, or we can fund the capital reserves with.
Save it, I
know,
personally
whatever.
think I'd save it for tax
Yeah.
rate
Okay.
setting
I
time.
agree.
Something always
Okay.
comes up and
That's,
Yeah.
that's good, I'm fine with that,
then
but,
changing all these numbers again.
okay, so the 122.5 will change to 102.5,
Because of the
right,
20.
because of the, 20,000 reduction, okay? So. All right,
All right,
Okay,
and then the debt service, CIP and current debt, we just, like you just talked about, Mike,
Right.
doing a presentation on the CIP.
right. I want people to understand what this really
Yep.
is.
And then explaining the balanced annual spending at 2.275 per thousand.
yeah,
I think that's important to get across.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to manage to,
Yeah.
is a number, right?
Okay. The rest of the slides are just the detail for that. I just wanted to make sure we're on the right track, and I'll finish that, those slides and email them to you,
Okay,
if that's all right.
I'm okay?
all right. Margaret, anything on the slides?
No.
All right, we'll move on to the review of the draft of the Selectmen's annual report.
Thank you, Mike, for drafting this.
Oh, thank you for your help with drafting this.
And actually Brooke left and I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but we still have some blanks there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the information on the
Right.
student population from the school.
Here's the thing with the one on change in town demographics. I think we think about changing the flavor of that one a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's an important thing to make, but the way it's written now, it looks like we're going after the school.
Okay,
And what I would say is, look, just as you stated, as the number of citizens is relatively stable, but the population of the school
Is
continues to
decreasing.
decline.
Yep.
We know that the value of our ratables, the total valuation of the town has declined by X%, and we probably have a record backlog right now of unsold properties. Do we?
Actually, we don't, because of the uniqueness of our town. A lot of our unsold properties come off the market because they get rented for the ski season.
Oh, but, as whatever statement, you know the
Yeah,
real
but
estate
see,
better than
I know,
anybody. The
but
real estate market here is not
Oh,
healthy.
no,
Right.
that's being very polite.
Right, it's not healthy. And
But-
when you look at those things combined, it would suggest that we need to do the following, which is look at the need to examine our municipal services and programs and discuss the
Right,
trends.
I wanted to put this in because of the property reevaluation thing here.
Right,
You know, as a result of, we have lost value as a town overall. I didn't want to
oh, I
get,
agree with you,
I didn't want to get into depth with this.
right.
And I didn't want to go in and, because if I open Pandora's box with a lot of this, more of this stuff, it would get really convoluted and really subjective.
I'm not suggesting there's
Yeah.
anything that you wanna go into any more depth, it's just that the statement that sits in there, the
Right.
swing in demographics will bring a need to examine our municipal services and programs.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's being directed at the school.
Okay, no, I see what you're saying, and it kind
And
of,
I'm struggling with that, because we need to look at everything we offer, it's not just a school issue.
yeah, but we also meant, I put in municipal services and programs.
No, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
under the section that we
Yeah,
were talking about
okay.
the school, and I think
But we're
people are
talking
gonna
about
jump to
town-
the conclusion,
yeah.
we wanna
No,
change this, close the school.
I know what you're saying, but it's town demographics. If you want
Yeah.
to feather it lighter, I'm sure we can do that.
Just take out at the same time.
Where's that?
It's in the middle of the sentence, and
At the
instead of
same
saying
time?
at the same time, just say the 2016-17, you're giving census data, it's
Yeah,
factual.
okay,
Instead
Yeah.
of saying at the same
all
time.
right, that works.
Okay, and you know what I would put instead of setbacks as challenges?
Okay.
I don't think it's setbacks, I
Yeah.
think it's looking forward and
Well, I
how are we
think-
gonna
I
make
think-
this work in the future.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, challenges will work
Yeah,
there.
the challenge is going forward here,
Yeah.
you know. And I know you've got a mixture of some things here that aren't, you know, aren't necessarily,
Also, we
Well-
haven't lost value as a town,
We
we've
did.
lost
We did.
property value.
no, we've
Yeah.
lost value, well, it
Okay.
depends on how you
Okay.
want
Because this
the
sounds,
total
this sounds
value
like,
of properties decline.
yes, I
But-
understand,
but as
but
a re-
that doesn't
Margaret,
say property
as a
value,
res-
it says
as-
we are
excuse-
less
no, no, no.
valuable.
Excuse
Well, no,
me.
I agree with
As
you,
a
Margaret.
result of this reevaluation, we have lost value as a town overall because of the reevaluation.
We'll just add the word property
Okay.
in front of value.
Property value.
Okay,
And I think it is problematic, it clearly is problematic in the ongoing real estate situation.
Yep.
You know, even regardless of how you count them.
right.
I mean, we've got too much inventory, you know, to be healthy.
We're at the lowest point of inventory we've ever been. We are at a point now in town where,
Well, then maybe I'm wrong.
yeah,
You
no,
Convince me
but
that we don't,
but
that
there-
we don't have a problem.
I would have to footnote it like 12 footnotes to
Right.
tell you know, why and what's available.
The problem
Yeah.
that I see is it's
We are
it's
not building.
aging inventory.
Yes,
Not only do we not have many properties for sale, those properties continue to be the lower end
Yeah.
of our properties, right, Mike?
the properties, most of the property, see, I don't wanna make these statements in
understand.
public on this stuff, but there are reasons a lot of the properties for sale are still for sale.
Well, it could be.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
other
a
people
lot
are
of these,
unrealistic. I
a
mean,
lot of these reasons are, a lot of people have taken these properties and used them as ski homes and not updated them and not
Right.
upgraded them, brought them up to current best
Right.
use because they're using them minimally.
Right.
You know, and there's quite a bit of functional obsolescence in these properties.
That's right, and we're rapidly losing land to build new properties, which would be built, I think, on the higher end because they'd be updated,
Well,
modern.
the cost of the land is
well,
so,
you almost got no choice.
Yes.
I mean, nobody could build a $200,000 condo today.
right, on a
No,
$200,000 lot. You know, hopefully you get a nice
They couldn't build
refrigerator
it if the
box.
lot was for free
Yeah.
at that
No.
price.
Yes.
That's true.
No, but it's something we have to look at. We have to look at a lot of things.
My comment was, I don't want.
Wanted pointed at the school, I can understand that.
Well, I don't think it helps our cause with the school. I think they definitely ought to look at why the population's declining. They gotta come to grips with that.
Is
But I
there-
don't know if the way to get them to do that is by poking a finger in their eye.
Yeah, I didn't mean it as a poke, I meant it as a
Well,
taunt.
yeah,
Well, is there a different way, rather than point out the specific numbers, is
No,
there
that's
another
fact.
No,
sentence?
well,
I don't
no,
have any
because
problem with
here-
that.
here-
That's fact.
Here is what we're dealing with. We are getting an older population coming to
Right.
Waterville Valley. If you look at a real cursory, quick look, if you look at $160,000,
Mhm.
$160,000 in Canton or Thornton buys a nice 3-bedroom ranch on an acre of land with either a garage or a basement, and $160,000 in Waterville Valley gets you a tired 3-bedroom Windsor Hill unit. You know, that's the reality people are looking at. And the school issue, we have a great school, but the other schools are not significantly less than our school. You know, with the advent of the
Right.
computer and a motivated student, schools, a good student is gonna do well almost anywhere now.
So is there a sentence that we add in before this swing in demographics that says, you know,
I
these-
would just
these
get it,
facts-
don't put them in the same paragraph, that's all. The
Well-
fact of the reduced property evaluation and the declining school population leads us to believe as a town, we need to be looking at
Right.
programs and services we offer. It's not just the school. The way
No,
it's
I-
written now,
right,
it
right.
appears to be just the school that would lead you to that
Well, it's
conclusion.
two, if we move the paragraphs around and they
Yeah,
didn't follow each
Right,
other,
that's all.
then that would take away maybe the onus of one running into the other.
You've heard my observation.
Margaret, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, to what?
I'm saying, yes, it's not just a school problem, it's
Right.
both of those things, and we
Right.
shouldn't
Right.
try and hook them together.
so taking that last sentence out and finding a different way to to write, maybe in different paragraph to write that in.
Excuse me for
Yeah.
1 second.
Right.
So
Well,
maybe we
I-
have property revaluation,
Mike.
changes in town demographics, but we remove that last sentence and put it into a thing that says
Or combine the
challenges.
two, and you know,
Or
you know,
combine the two.
you know, just
Here's
changes
what I
in
would
town
do is that
demographics.
I'd make both of those paragraphs very factual, and I'd actually would put in the property evaluation that says, as a result of the revaluation, our property value went from 3 million, whatever it was, or, you know, et
Or
cetera,
just a
down to.
percentage change,
Yeah,
you know,
a
one or the
change
other.
percentage, you know, so that people know that obviously, property value is one of the things that goes into what the tax rate is. And if the property value continues to go down,
It's a problem.
it's a problem.
So what if we went, property values and town demographics as the paragraph?
I'd say
And
with
combine
the
them.
change in town demographics, and then I'd start off with the property valuation statement.
Okay,
I think changing town demographics covers both. Demographics doesn't necessarily have to be head
Okay,
count.
okay.
It's, you know, it's
So we'll
changing town
combine them?
profile or whatever you want, I mean,
okay, so one paragraph for both of those.
right, that's what I would
And
do.
changes in town demographics.
Yeah.
And then leave that sentence at the end of it, and then it's both things.
Okay, I'm sure whatever you
Okay.
guys has worked out.
I think that's.
Yeah, other
easy to
than
do.
that, I have no other changes. I'm
Okay.
fine.
All right, let's move on to the,
Good job, Mike.
well, Mark helped a lot, but it
Good
was just,
job,
I
Mark.
wanted to just, you know, just change it a little bit from
Right.
last year.
Yep.
And bring up what we needed to start talking about.
Yep,
All right, police cruiser replacement.
we've already talked about it.
Okay, administrative abatements. We have a list of administrative abatements that
You
need
do.
to be made, and
And why are we doing these
So
again? I
I'll-
mean, I don't have a problem with them.
Each one of these 5 people paid us.
Extra?
Well, no, they paid their full first half tax bill. After the first half tax bill, their property values went down so much that their first half property tax
Tax bill was wrong.
exceeded their whole annual bill.
I got you.
I got you.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we owed them an abatement.
Okay.
And why, I'm just struggling with, why did that happen in 2000? So these are all cases, I understand
17.
Brian Lash. I mean,
Yep.
his house burned down.
right,
Right,
Right, so he paid his first half tax bill, and,
Yes.
and by the time he did the adjustments, you couldn't do it.
right.
Fairpoint Communications.
And Time Warner
It's
are
because
the
what the s-
utility changes
what's
that
the
we
state
made.
making us do,
When the state
remember?
made the
Yeah,
changes.
but I thought that was for 2018, not for
No,
2017.
it was for 2017,
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then the other 2 were just small because of their land situation.
Yeah, no, I don't have a
Their
problem
values
giving them
changed.
a buck.
Yeah.
It's not worth writing a check.
No,
Yeah, I
know,
don't
but
understand the dollar, that to me is,
That's what it came out to, so we'll write them a $1
well,
check.
oh, why don't we just send them 2 rolls of pennies, so. They know,
It'll cost too much to mail to.
yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. But what, it's gonna cost you 46 cents to mail the dollar, right?
Yes, it will.
47.
47.
So that, I hate to do my math so quickly to amaze everyone, but that's a 47% cost of doing business.
At least in those 2 instances.
Okay, we're done with the abatements. Old business, anything on the old business?
I don't.
All right.
I do want to say, just for your own information, and I confirm this with Mark, our sign regulations have now changed.
They haven't been approved.
Doesn't matter. They're in effect now. If they don't get carried by town meeting, our old ones go back in effect. But in the interim, someone applies, just so you know,
Yeah.
there's a new set of regulations
Could we see
governing
these
signs.
regulations?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I would like a
I
set.
forgot to, yes, we
Yeah.
I
will,
would like to.
I'll email them to you.
We'll email them to you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it'd be good to read them.
Yes, I was.
Because they're completely different than
well-
the other ones.
Well, I'd like to, it's, yeah.
I forgot to make those copies he's always.
Yeah, I had all intentions of making it to that.
Do you have them already made?
The
Yeah,
planning board
no,
meeting.
that's all right, I understand.
We can give him a hard
No,
copy.
no, but being, they involve my profession, I would like to have an idea, considering no one in our profession thought
Thank
enough
you.
to go look at these.
Yeah,
We'll
it
give
did
you a hard
surprise
copy
me.
before you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
It did surprise me. In some respects, you get more latitude, in some respects, you get less.
okay.
Well, it's
Now,
a
what
You
special,
can have a lot of,
Based-
you can have a
in-
lot of signs, but they're this big.
No, if you're on condos,
Right.
it's up to the condo.
Okay,
They
but
do
what,
it that
what
way.
about new construction? Did that get dealt with at all?
Yes, it
Yes.
did. You
So-
are now, if
Allowed,
you've got,
yeah.
if you've got an approval to do
Yes.
something,
Yes,
you're allowed to put a sign up
Until it's
at
finished?
every entrance, and forever.
until, okay, so you don't have that one when the
Absolutely.
first one is sold, that,
And you can
Yeah.
say anything on that sign you want.
okay?
There's no limitation as to message anymore.
Washington slept here,
You could.
thank you.
You can make false claims, anything you want.
no, Bill's got it. Right, you're all set.
Right.
Okay.
The only tough restriction is, from a real estate perspective, is we do not allow temporary signs on single-family homes.
We never have. But what about for an open house?
Never is never.
Never is never.
So that becomes,
What
now
about,
you can put them on the roads, but you can't put them on the lot.
so if you put it on the public way out in front?
As long as you get permission to do that, I guess. yeah.
All right, so that would be in your sign, which we were limited to 2 per open house?
No, I
Oh,
think you now get 3.
Okay, but you, what about balloons? Are balloons considered
No,
a sign?
3?
No, I don't think balloons are considered a sign.
No.
No,
I think they-
banners are, but
3
not
is
balloons.
3,
I don't
right?
think we
I
have
think
banners. Well, we don't really use them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Off-premise 3, off-premise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, you gained one. Mike.
Well, it's gonna be, well, so on a condo, it's really not the issue, because you can identify your condo unit.
In the
but-
condo, the way the rules are now written
Yeah.
is if you're within a condo complex,
Right.
as long as the sign is not visible, not readable
From
from
the
a
street.
public right of way, you can do whatever you
Whatever
want.
you want.
It's up to the condo. We don't try to regulate signs that are not readable from a non-public right of way.
So what if you had a condo that was on the corner of, like, say, the First Mountain Brook unit? and you
Well, that's visible.
there- So you'd have to hide it in the bushes, so it would only be visible from the parking lot.
Right.
Okay, no, just trying to get these things. Are these hangable offenses?
I think so.
Okay, just wanted to check.
They can be fined, yes.
All right, great, well,
Actually, I think we could come and tear your sign up.
Yeah, I think so.
all right, if you were out on a Sunday and had nothing else to
Nothing
do.
better to do.
All right, great, well, thank you guys for all the work on this. All right, let's move on, any other old business?
And you can thank the Supreme Court for that.
Oh, well, which justices?
It was the US Supreme Court that ruled that made this silly ruling that forced us to rewrite these things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, US,
Because, you can't, what you cannot do is limit speech. So you can't, so from here on in, when somebody submits a sign, we can't ask them what's written on the sign.
Or
Only
what
what it
color
looks
it
like.
is, or
Really?
whatever.
You cannot ask
What
what the
about,
content of the sign is.
and what about profanity and things like that?
We can't ask for it.
Unfortunately,
Okay. But
Now,
what
if
is,
somebody puts up a profane sign, I believe
I
the
think
police have
the
some
police-
latitude to deal with it, but not on the sign
but not
permit.
us. We can't do anything, it's gotta be a legal.
Right.
okay, well, actually, under old business, I would like to take a moment and go through my notes on the meeting we had with the well people,
Yeah.
Oh, well,
to
3.
bring us up to speed on what they
Yep.
said. We met with the well people, and they were actually very nice, very helpful, very open to ideas,
Right.
and very straight about stuff. What they mentioned, they had a couple of different guys there, and I think Steve was the guy who is the
Hydraulic.
hydrologist, who really gave all of us, I think, some new ideas as to why this is happening, and dealing with the positions where our wells are not ideal, by any means. We are
Being next to the river.
being next to the river because we can't get the depth a standard well would get.
No.
And he is really into climate change and all this other stuff, where the climate changes and things like that will affect the number of TCA,
Total chloroform.
total chloroform, where even if we were able to put a new well in over there, there'd be no guarantee that we would be able to get rid of the total chloroform,
Right,
just because of where we are and what it is.
right,
The idea and what they ideally would like us to do is to try these fixes, which Jamie was telling me aren't gonna cost us $100,000. He
Right.
thinks he can bring them in significantly less
all right,
to get these fixes going. And if we can get the E. coli out,
Coli.
the state will be willing to let us use, and there's still a consistent amount of total chlorophyll.
A
Right.
low consistent.
Yeah, but what the guy Steve said, who's a hydrologist, if your is it chloroform?
Coliform.
Coliform.
The sea stuff. If the sea stuff keeps on going up and down, the chances are if it continues to go up when the weather gets warmer, that eventually you're gonna see E. coli
right,
in there. So what he suggested and what they would ideally like us to do is to get this well going, and they would monitor this well from 6 months to a year to see what the TCAs and hopefully no E. coli would be.
right.
And then they would like us to run that well through the number 4
Building.
building to
Yeah,
process it.
so, but it's all predicated on getting the well to the point where
To
there's
the
no E.
point,
coli.
no E. coli and a
Yeah, that's
consistent
fine.
low number. The other thing they suggested was putting well number 2 in. And I explained to them the reason that we had a problem was the prohibitive cost the contractor wanted to run a pipe for 30 or 40 feet at $250,000. And they kind of looked at me where they kind of thought it was prohibitive too. And they were like, ideally that.
Well, I'm reluctant to touch two because it's
It
like,
wor- it
it's
works.
working. You leave it alone.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to let the mule go and put in the engine
Exactly,
as the
yeah.
mule shows up every day. But they kind of talked about that. But
That's fine.
But think they were really, really good. They also talked about this trust fund money that we thought was available. It's not.
No.
As soon as it got there, they cut it back.
Well, that's
It's
good anyway,
non-existent. Yeah.
because I've had it with grants.
But there are some, there might be some low-cost loan programs we might be able to get into with this. But I think the idea is that we're on the right path going with this and spending the money needed to get that well, to see if we can get it to come to life.
Right.
And we'll start as soon as.
One of the dilemmas is those wells are
Land.
relatively shallow
That's
wells,
the
and
whole
they can't be made deeper, right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
They're talking about 25 feet is where.
Yeah, because I went, after the last minute, I went back and started reading
Yeah.
about wells.
Yeah.
And they recommended that the plug, that the bentonite plug,
Yeah.
be at least 25
5
feet
feet down,
thick.
yeah.
And we don't, our entire well isn't that
Yeah.
deep.
That's the whole problem, but the idea about the capping and doing that and moving
Yeah.
the line, moving the pedestrian walkway through there, which I still don't understand. I go back to my own thought of having a dead mouse in the wall or in the closet. That eventually, with the air, the smell goes away, and the mouse decomposes and goes away. I would have thought that if we had some kind of animal contamination in there, with the amount of water rushing through there, it would have washed away by now. You know, because we're not dealing with just a
Don't know
drip of
where it's
water.
coming from.
Yeah.
You do not find E. coli in the river, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
They did not when they did the MPA.
and they're gonna do
test.
some more testing on the river too.
That's right.
That's
And we're
part-
gonna do it
part
at
of it.
different times of the year. I think I sent you an email that kind of summarizes what
Yeah.
Mike just.
Yeah, I did, and I thought that was
I didn't
pretty
get it.
straightforward, and I was fine.
Mike, I don't know why, you don't like me.
No,
I keep
sometimes I
getting
get your
my-
stuff, sometimes I don't.
I just go
And then
trash, it's
Some,
okay.
but I was
Junk
talking to
mail.
Sharon, I was getting
Junk
stuff
mail.
from the town office 5 hours later and 3 hours after you sent me the,
And it
I-
came from mine the same way.
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know.
And it's on all of my things, it's not just on one device.
Hmm.
I
I
don't know,
don't know what's going on.
all right.
All right.
All right,
Well, it
so
must be you.
it probably is. Talk to my wife, it's always me. All right, correspondence, USDA, the warranty expiration notice.
Yes. So, March 10th is the 1-year anniversary of putting the new pump house and the new well into operation.
Yeah.
So, we had to certify, we went down through this checklist on the second page of what I sent you. And it is working correctly. Any issues that we have had in the last year, the contractor has addressed. There were a couple of issues with the SCADA system and with one of the lift pumps, but he repaired everything that we've asked him to. So this page was just a certification that as of March 10th, the warranty period is over,
Okay,
and we're on our own. But everything is working well on that.
so don't test the
System right
water.
now.
It'll find out it's all contaminated.
We test the water all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, do you remember the article the Wigwag wrote years ago when they had the water coming down off the pipe as you came into the town
Yeah.
and people were lining up with their jugs to fill it?
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, and that's filthy, that
Oh, it
water.
was beyond filthy.
It's disgusting. Moose
I-
poop and
Yeah.
piles.
Well, I think people still do that.
Just up
I'm
there.
wondering if that one in Plymouth is like
Oh,
that.
Plymouth,
Yeah.
there's a
That's
line
more-
in Plymouth trying to
Yeah.
get that groundwater.
But it's a spring in Plymouth. Here, it's a stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
It's a
but I
spring in
remember
Plymouth.
after that article, the line really evaporated. No one was waiting for that. All right, so we've got that. Privilege of the floor number 2. Anybody or anything? Rich, nice to see you. All right. Board concerns and directives? Anybody?
No.
Anything for non-public?
I don't have any.
We didn't go over this letter from the people that were here last year.
Oh, the REI?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an email notifying us.
Yeah,
The thing is,
why
this
can't they go camp in the campground?
did you see their setup, Bill?
Well, no, but
Last year.
they just needed more space.
You said they
And-
wanted
and
more
why-
I,
why
thi-
can't they
I
go to
think what they're
campground?
asking in that letter is for
No, to-
non-subscribers to this event might want to camp. Because they made a deal with the Waterville Company where they were they took some land from the Waterville Company, the old Fifth Fairway behind
Yeah, that's
Blues
what I
Crossing,
thought,
and
yeah.
they had camping there. They also had camping on the old Sixth Fairway.
Your
That's
old
right.
six.
And what she was doing was asking about additional use of potentially Packard's field.
Yeah, yeah.
Which you don't want him to?
No,
No, I'd be very concerned about setting that up for camping and then wanting to play soccer on it. I just, no. I
yeah,
think
I
it
think
will be.
we've given them enough.
Yeah,
Let's leave some recreation
Okay.
space for that week for our town residents.
yeah.
Okay,
Maybe someone wants to have a wedding over there or something, or,
okay.
yeah. That's just my thought. Bill?
Why can't they go to the campground? I think they should
don't know,
look
they
into
should
it.
Look into it.
I mean, there are many campgrounds. There
Yeah.
isn't just this one.
We've
We're
got
still-
2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 2, and they're way underutilized. They're never full.
But I think they want people in within walking distance.
Yes.
But if they use the old Sixth
Yeah,
or Fifth Fairway and the Sixth Fairway,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
it is.
Yeah,
But I think we need to leave recreation stuff open
yeah.
for our people. Or you can talk to Brooke about it, see if, what her
Well,
thought.
she scheduled them, we were supposed to use Packard's field last year. And we were ready to do it.
And
We-
why didn't they?
We don't know why their plan changed, but it changed and they decided to use the fairways. So they have looked at Packard's field. Brooke has worked it into her program schedule.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in September at the rec department on the fields. And they were giving us top dollar to be able to use.
Well, we didn't
The
hear
field.
top dollar. How much are we getting?
How much are we getting?
Oh, we were getting, I wanna say it was over $1,000 for
It's
the
not
use
top
of.
dollar.
Well,
That's not bad.
it's a lot more than we normally
All
would
right.
get for
So
a
let,
weekend rental.
talk to Brooke, and if Brooke doesn't have a problem, why don't you send us
So
an
we're
email
not
on
gonna
it?
mess up the soccer field.
No, they won't use
Alright.
it, they've already been told they can't use it if it's raining because it
Yeah.
doesn't drain. And so,
Okay, then let's reverse our opinion on that.
Alright.
Do we need a vote on that?
No.
I don't need it,
Okay.
I think it's a
All right,
operational thing.
all right, well, if there's nothing else, we can entertain a motion to adjourn and get Margaret on her way to
That's
The-
right.
That's it.
the grease
Gotta
painting.
go, I gotta go.